always wanted to be more than a mess attendant. My job was to make the officers' beds, clean their room, shine their shoes, and I know occasions we had to wash the officers' underwear because we didn't have the laundry. And we got a bucket of water a day on the old four-piper they call the tin can I was on. And I wanted to get away from that. I was tired of washing dishes and shining shoes. And I would write letters to the Bureau of Naval Personnel and things like that. And I saw in the newspaper where they had elected a black congressman from Detroit. His name was Charles Diggs. And I wrote him a letter and asked him if he could help me or what. And I wrote another letter to the Bureau of Personnel, but I mailed it off the ship. And I finally got orders to report to Fleet Sonar School, Key West, Florida, in December sometime. And that same afternoon, they called me up to the office and say, the captain wants to talk to you. The captain said, I've looked at all the mess attendants' records and I want you to be my steward. So we're going on this exercise, they call it Razor's Edge, into Northern Europe. He said, I said, well, sir, I said, I'm going to sonar school. He said who? I said, the Bureau of Naval Personnel. He said, I said you're going to be my steward. He said, no, that's what you want to be. He said, you can report this afternoon for dinner. He said, before dinner, I'll let you know what I want for dinner. Or what? I said, yes, sir. He said, you're going on this trip. So I made the trip to Northern Europe. And when I got back, they had my orders ready. I was the first one off the ship to catch a bus down to Boston from Newport, Rhode Island, down to Boston. And I flew down to Jacksonville, and from there I flew to Key West. And they called me in, and I asked when would I start class, and they said, well, you got to have a clearance. See, you're not cleared for secrecy, and that's up to the FBI. See, they have to check, see where your grandmother come from and what country they're from and all of that business, and see what, if you ever been arrested and things, see what your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, we have to check all your background. So I waited and waited and waited, and I said, when am I going to start class? New students would come in and they would start class, and I didn't. So he called me down one day and said, Phillips, we got good news. I said, good, thank you. When do I start class? He said, no. I said, we have talked to Washington. He said, we're going to make you chief steward. He said, but you got to volunteer and leave the school. I said, no, sir, I'm not going to volunteer and leave. I said, I'm asking you not to just throw me out. He said, well, you can't make it. Say your educational background, your academics, say it's no way you can go through sonar school. He said it's too much. Say you got to know physics and chemistry. Say you got to know math. Say it's just about all math. He said, and you don't know anything about algebra and geometry and trigonometry, calculus. He said, and these kids are right out of college and high school, or what? Say you can't do it. Say, take the chief and leave. I said, no, I'm not going to leave. I said, he said, well, you're going to flunk out. I said, well, let me flunk out. Don't throw me out. He said, okay, you start the next class. And I'm telling you, I burned the midnight oil. We would have to be out on the grinder pavement like some mornings, say, at 6 o'clock or what. And a lot of times I didn't even get an hour's sleep. But I spent it all down to school because we couldn't bring books and things out of the area, the fenced-in area, where they had, you know, security all around the building, everything. And I would study like mad, and I find some of the instructors, and they'd help me out some. And I made it through sonar school. I wasn't the anchor, but I wasn't the top of the class either. But I wasn't last in the class. And I went aboard the Bailey, DD 713, and as a sonar supervisor. And we went to Gitmo for training. And well, I went aboard the Bailey DD 713 that afternoon about 4 o'clock. And the OD said, take him to the mess attendant's compartment. I said, no, sir, I'm not a mess attendant. I'm a sonar tech. He said, you're a what? I said, sonar tech. He said, let me see those orders. So he looked at the orders, said, yes, they're taken back in order division operation, back on the fantail. So they took me back and they woke me up the next morning, and Deslant, destroyers of the Atlantic Fleet group, came to inspect the sonar division, and because to see if they were ready for Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where they go and practice, you know, submarine warfare. And boy, it was the second class in charge, and here I was first class, so I was in charge. And they went up one side of my behind and down the other. But a lot of the equipment didn't work properly like it should, so they left, and for about 3 days there, I bet I only got maybe 2 or 3 hours sleep, working on the equipment and all, and I got it working, notified them. They came back and we went to Gitmo and made one of the highest marks made down there, you know, with anti-submarine warfare. And on board the Baylor, we were coming out of Gibraltar, we got rammed, and I was trapped in a compartment full of water. I decided to get out. I put my orders in to get a tender. In my last 2 years in the Navy, I was teaching anti-submarine warfare on board the Yosemite, DD AD-19.